I'm going to walk you through an easy way for you to weigh your company health insurance plan versus what you could expect to pay on Medicare. Now, most of this decision hinges on costs, but there are other factors that we'll touch on throughout this video. Okay, the first thing that we've got to look at is your hard-earned money. More specifically, how much of your money are you needing to part with just to have health insurance? Your monthly premiums would be your minimum risk, the lowest amount of dollars that you will pay in the event that nothing goes wrong from a healthcare perspective for an entire year. What makes this a little tricky is that employers and Medicare may use different time windows, so we need to convert everything to costs per month. Look at your pay stubs and figure out how much your employer takes out for health insurance premiums, convert that to dollars per month, and then we can more easily compare with Medicare. Now, the first section of this spreadsheet focuses on your company plan, starting with the monthly premium for your plan, and all of these bright blue boxes are where we can put in our own numbers. I've got a few real-life examples from real companies to run through, and this first one is a high-deductible health plan. These plan costs are typically broken into different cost tiers. There is an employee-only cost, an employee plus a spouse cost, an employee plus children cost, and a family cost. Most seniors are looking at employee only or employee plus spouse. I recognize that there are exceptions, but we're just looking at those two for this video. So this plan in particular has the employee paying $283.49 per month for employee only health insurance premiums and $680.35 per month for employee plus spouse. Notice that there's a big difference when adding the spouse in this case, and I'll hit on that significance once this is all filled out. This plan has a deductible, which isn't going to be shown here, but it is the dollar amount that you need to pay first before insurance starts helping at all. It is a higher deductible plan with a $6,250 individual deductible and a $12,500 family deductible. Higher deductibles typically mean lower monthly premiums. Now, the next two boxes are the individual maximum out-of-pocket and the family maximum out-of-pocket. Your plan will likely have different numbers for each. Some plans are the same number, like in this specific example coming up. This means that if I have a bad year, but my spouse has nothing wrong, I just need to hit my individual maximum out of pocket and the plan will take care of the rest. If both my spouse and I have bad years, our combined totals just need to reach the family max out of pocket, and then both of our costs above that number are covered 100% by the insurance company for approved charges. Dental and vision costs are next in terms of monthly premiums, with individual premiums and couple premiums. Dental and vision coverages have their own deductibles, copays, and maximum benefits that are just too diverse to include in here, but comparing to Medicare will be pretty similar. Finally, there is a box for you to put in any dollars that your company contributes to your health savings account, or HSA, or your health reimbursement arrangement, or HRA. These are real dollars that would lower your out-of-pocket risk. In this example, the employer is contributing $2,100 to the employee's HSA for the year. Okay, now we get your annual costs for your work plan, and a little bit lower, I've got this broken into the minimum risk, meaning you have a perfect year where nothing goes wrong and you have zero healthcare costs other than the monthly premiums to have your plan. And then next to that, we have your maximum risk, which would be your out-of-pocket costs if everything went wrong. You had very high healthcare costs and you hit your maximum out-of-pocket numbers. Below that, we have the same minimum and maximum risk boxes based on a couple, so including the spousal portions of the grid. These are adding up all of the costs and subtracting any employer HSA or HRA contributions. The last note here to remember is to consider your plan's network of facilities and providers. Employer plans are most often health maintenance organizations, referred to as HMOs, or preferred provider organizations, referred to as PPOs. HMOs typically do not have any out-of-network coverage, meaning if you go out of network, you are paying 100% of the costs. PPOs typically have out-of-network coverage, meaning if you go out of network, you don't have to pay 100% of the costs, but you would still pay more than if you were to go to somebody in network. As you scroll to the right, you will see 4 Medicare options: Supplement Plan G, High Deductible Plan G, Plan N, and an Advantage plan. I have some average national costs in the boxes. A couple of quick notes on the Medicare side. Plan G sets the tone for most of the others in this spreadsheet. What we put in the Part D premium, the Part D max out of pocket, Part B premium, dental, and vision premiums will go into all of the other supplement plans because these would all be the same regardless of the supplement plan you pick. Remember that Part B and Part D premiums are based on your income from 2 years ago, and I have the IRMA chart for 2024 in the other tab of this worksheet where you can look up what your Part B premium would be based on your tax return from 2 years prior, as well as any additional amount for the Part D premiums that you would need to add on top of your regular Part D premiums. For Advantage plans that have no Part D premium costs, you would still put the IRMA amount in the Part D IRMA box, but only if you have a higher income. If you don't, just leave that at 0. Finally, the last thing before we dive even deeper into the real example would be the colors, the totals for individual minimum and maximum risk, as well as a couple minimum and maximum risk are all color-coded, with the least expensive being green and the most expensive being red. So now we can get a quick look at which arrangements will show the most advantageous dollar situations. If you are single or the only one on the company plan and you have nothing go wrong, the company plan has the lowest risk for an individual, while the Advantage plan has the lowest minimum risk, again, if nothing goes wrong, for the couple. And this is where I want to point out the difference between the employee only versus the employee plus a spouse premium. The employee plus spouse amount is not just double the employee premium in this example, it is significantly more. And we see this often with company insurance where there is an opportunity to use Medicare to save you as a couple some money. If your spouse is eligible for Medicare, but is not the one working for the company, sometimes it makes sense to move the spouse off of the company plan and onto Medicare while the working spouse stays on the company plan. This example is also great to see how you would not want to take Medicare Part A only at 65, because then your company would need to stop HSA contributions, and look what that does to our colors. Now, all of the arrangements for the company plan are worse than they were because you are missing out on those dollars, not to mention the HSA tax benefits of your own contributions on top of your employer contributions. One of the biggest myths about Medicare is that you have to take it at 65. This is simply not true if you or your spouse are working and you are covered by a company plan. We have an entire video on that topic. Okay, we also noticed that if you have a catastrophic year, the Supplement Plan G is the lowest cost option for both the individual and the couple using these numbers. So you could jump on Medicare and a Plan G, continue working, and save quite a bit of money if you know you're going to have a rough year. Okay, let's look at a different employer plan arrangement, maybe one that is not a high deductible health plan. We're going to keep the dental and vision arrangements the same, but the monthly premiums on the more traditional health plan go up. The employee only premium goes to $442.10, and look at that employee plus spouse premium up to $1,149.45 per month. The deductibles on this particular plan are lower than the last one. There's a $3,000 individual deductible rather than around $6,200, and then a $6,000 family deductible lower than the $12,500 deductible in the other plan. Lower deductibles often mean higher premiums. So again, you pay the deductible amount first, and then insurance starts to help. If you are an individual, you pay the first $3,000 of any medical bill, and then insurance starts covering typically something like 80% of the cost moving forward, and you get 20% of the costs up until you reach your maximum out-of-pocket. And this plan has an individual maximum out-of-pocket of $6,500 and a family maximum out-of-pocket of $13,000. This time, the employer contributes $2,100 to a health reimbursement arrangement, but with all of these boxes, this employee and his or her spouse would be better off on a Medicare arrangement and not on a company plan. The minimum risk plan looking the strongest would be the Advantage plan in this scenario. The maximum risk plan looking the strongest would be the Supplement Plan G. Now, different employers contribute more or less towards employee premiums. So let's imagine that the employer was going to take care of 90% of the employee's premium and 50% of the spouse's premium. That puts the employee as only paying $44.21 for themselves per month and $552.62 for their spouse. Look at what a difference that makes, especially on the employee-only minimum risk. The employee is actually making money on healthcare to the tune of just over $1,000 a year because of those HRA contributions. Hopefully you see that how your employer chooses to offer health insurance is a major determining factor in when you should start to get serious about Medicare. Okay, if you've made it this far, there are 4 important takeaways that I hope that you take and internalize from this video. By the way, the secret phrase to prove that you made it this far is any mention of food in your comment, but that's our little secret. Okay, takeaway number 1, your numbers won't be my numbers. So I made this spreadsheet available for you to download for free. There is a link in the description of this video, or you can find it on theretirementnerds.com. You will need Microsoft Excel to use it, and then you can put in whatever numbers you want. Rarely do people see the minimum numbers or the maximum numbers. The reality is somewhere in the middle. And a quick side note to my competitors who download all of our stuff. You don't need to hide your name. I'm not upset, and you don't need to try and be sneaky. If you are using these tools, that means that more people moving on to Medicare are being given more education to make better decisions, and that makes me happy. Plus, this spreadsheet is a great start, but believe it or not, there is even more that goes into this decision, which leads me to takeaway number 2. Please work with an independent agent or broker. The words are interchangeable for the purposes of this video. An agent's job is to help you through this process. Your medications will be a major part of this decision. Your dental and vision benefits tie in. your providers and hospital networks, and the enrollment timelines that you have. An agent is your easy button. We'll do all of this for you and present you with which options will be cost effective, which insurance companies will get you what you need, and will be there for you for the rest of your life in the event that things change in the Medicare world or with your health. All of this is at no cost to you, whether you want to reach out to me through my email address in the description of this video or use my competitors. I'd rather you work with my competitors than to go at this alone and rely on national call centers to put you onto plans. Please work with an independent agent that can help you through this. Finally, the last thing I hope you take away from this video is that there are very popular and very wrong Medicare myths. The one that we touched on in this video is the incorrect statement that everyone has to take Medicare at 65 or they will face penalties. This is just not correct, and there is a video that you need to watch if you haven't already around why you would not want to take Medicare at 65 that comes up right here. I hope this was helpful. Please be sure to download the spreadsheet to play around with your numbers. Thank you for making it this far, and I will see you over there.